Fellow show skiers, welcome to Pyramids. These are demonstration videos for the ultimate expression of teamwork for all show ski teams. Chapter markers can be found in the description below. Feel free to go down there to jump ahead through sections of this introduction. These videos are for demonstration purposes only, and please use at your own risk. Practice safely. Always use spotters. There should be a spotter for every person climbing in a pyramid, and always good to have extras in the front of the pyramid as well for catching. The golden rule to follow for pyramid climbing, not just for the style presented in these videos, but for any style of pyramid climbing, is that there are several different styles. Each of them have pros and cons, whether it's a 3-step style climb, a 4-step style climb, or the elevator style climb that's presented here. Pick one. Your team should pick one and stick with it. The golden rule is do not mix climbing styles. We have seen far too many people get hurt on teams that are trying to mix climbing styles, and the climbers are unsure of what each other are doing because they are different styles, and that's where feet slip or they miss a crossover and they're falling onto skis for no reason. So please, never mix climbing styles. That's the golden rule. The climbing style presented in these demonstration videos is known as the elevator style, or sometimes called the Badgerland style of climbing. It's used by a number of teams in the United States and around the world. This style of climbing, the elevator style of climbing, is characterized by the following items: a 3-step climb when going up, a 1-step, or often called an elevator, coming down, standing walk-ins for the larger pyramids where cross-ins are required, and those are done in pairs, 2 people moving together in a standing walk-in formation, and then coming down from larger pyramids where walkouts are required. This is done in what's called a squatted or crab walk form, and that is done individually, not in pairs. So these are all characteristics of the elevator style of climbing. This pyramid style definitely requires a significant amount of practice and dry land climbing time. That means you're going to spend a lot of time in a gym or in shallow water in a pool or lake practicing this climbing style before taking it out on the water behind the boat. The benefits of this climbing style are as follows. It's fast. It's faster and more efficient than other climbing styles, as well as having the benefit of getting the weight of the pyramid off of the center bases faster at the end when they're tired. In other words, it distributes the weight quicker to the outside people who are less exhausted basing the pyramid. This style of climbing is also very good for tight pyramid patterns or for small ski sites. And that's really where it evolved from, as Badgerland had very tight ski sites that they had to be climbing in as they developed this style. This system of climbing is well tested, well thought out, hundreds of hours of dry land training time. There have been many variations that have been tried and discounted by people with lots of years of climbing experience. So things like reaching down and picking up your top tier climbers. So the second tiers might be reaching down to pick the third tier girl up to lift her to a climbing position, are things that have been discounted. Standing walkouts, a big no-no. Certain people think, this is easier for me, no problem, but they're not taking into account the rest of the pyramid and the impact that has. And if you are that person trying to do a standing walkout on your own, be careful with these variations, because that person to get going is impacting the center of the pyramid that is still up and climbed at that time. So these can often be a detriment to the pyramid as a whole, so be careful with any variations or changing of the climbing style. Doesn't mean that it doesn't change over time, but any changes that have been made over time have been practiced, thoroughly tested by experienced climbers, and have been well thought out. We need to give credit where credit is due. So obviously credit to Badgerland climbers, both current and former members, who over the many years developed this style, but this isn't solely coming from Badgerland. Definitely want to give credit to these other teams. Way back in the day, Cap City, one of the teams that formed Mad City, had a lot to do with this pyramid style years and years ago. And then Mad City, as well, as they were developing their own style and everything, some of their climbing style came into this method of climbing. And then also the Shermalot and Aqua Skiers show teams as well had a lot to do with input onto the elevator style of climbing. Continuing to look back at how this climbing style came about, let's talk about the history a little bit so you have a background of where this came from. Really, this is the brainchild of the late, great Paul Droz, and is really an homage to Paul. For those of you that didn't know him, Paul Droz was the longtime show director for Badgerland. For many, many years, he ran the team. Even when he wasn't running the team, he was really there behind the scenes. But through the 1990s and again in the late 2000s when Paul returned to Badgerland to rebuild the team, Paul instilled upon all of us that were on the team at the time that skied for him an attitude towards training. And it really was, on competition and on tournament day, we are competitors against each other, but every other day of the year, we want to share our knowledge with whoever wants help. And that meant that we went and traveled and helped a lot of other show ski teams, not just in the Midwest, but even around the country. I mean, a quick list, teams that we've literally directly traveled to: the arch rivals, Cap City, Mad City, the Muskies, Waterbugs, Shermalot, Aqua Skiers, Hydroflights, Ski Sprites, the Portland Ski Spectacular, Gatorland, Quahamets, many years of running the Think Tank Pyramid tanks and trainings. And I'm sure somewhere along the way that I missed some of the teams that we directly went and helped. And so that was really part of what we did as Badgerland, with Paul as our leader and really him wanting to us to get that knowledge out. And so these videos came about from those types of trainings. During the late 2000s, we were visiting the Hydroflights and Ski Sprites for a weekend-long clinic, and Paul turned to me and said, "Hey, you know, we really should develop some how-to or some demonstration videos just to show what it looks like." And his thinking was, it was dual purpose. We could use those videos to share our knowledge with other teams, but then we could also share them with new members that were coming on to Badgerland at the time as well and say, "Hey, visually, look at this. This is what we want you to do. And this is our style and our method of climbing." So with that in mind, we did some initial videos in 2008 and 2009 and developed the first set of videos. And then we did a major update for those in 2015 and 2016. Improved the video quality, tried to narrate them a little bit, and really tried to break down the process of the elevator climb from basic skills all the way up through a double top 4 tier. And so now we come to 2023. And some questions have been posed on Show Skiers forum and whatnot, asking for additional demonstration video, and then we also missed a couple things along the way. So we're trying to update just in a few places. The 2015-16 videos, really nothing has changed, but we're adding to those a little bit with this current release. To have full disclaimer, these videos are not perfect. They are the best representation that we could get at the time of recording. So with that, we owe some thank yous. And so we owe some thank yous out to a number of people who have, helped with these videos along the way. So certainly Badgerland members, current members and past members, thank you so much for lending your talents to this. But members from other teams have also jumped in and helped along the way. So to the Waterbugs, Aqueducts, Waterboard Warriors, and the Shawano Ski Sharks, thank you so much for lending your talents. So as a last part to this introduction and background, let's hear from Paul a little bit. This video is a little grainy. It was recorded a number of years ago for the first generation, but what he says still holds true today. So if you are a show director or a pyramid act captain, I would really give you advice. Heed these words from Paul. It's very short, but it's great advice. And no, he's not kidding when he says 20 pyramids a night when you get started at the beginning of the summer. We used to do at least that many in a night. So here's Paul.
Hi, I'm Paul, and this is one of our winter drylands just for fun. And tonight we're going to do some pyramids for you. And we are Badgerland. Thanks. Here we are. We want to make sure a couple things. We want to make sure always, we want to make sure that shoulder heights are about the same, right? We want to make sure that people climb the same way. Everybody does the same thing the same way so that parts are interchangeable, right? And early in the season, we want to be successful on the water. So what we do on the water early on the season, first practice out. How many pyramids do we do in a night? 20 in a night, 15, 20, right? In a 2-hour period. 3 highs, double 3 highs, triple 3 highs, 3 highs, double tops, 3 highs, double tops. No 4s first night. No 4s. And you mix the good people with the medium people and the good and the bad. And you put the one good climber with the medium climber, and you mix it up so everybody makes it, and then we're successful. When you're designing your pyramids, one of the most important pieces, I think, is making certain that you have equivalent shoulder heights all the way across the bottom tiers. As you get up to the 3rd tier and a 4 high, it's less important. When you see some of these climbs, we'll show you now on this video how difficult it is, how easy it is for a long-legged gal who's a little taller to climb on short little gals who are 2nd or 3rd tier, and then conversely, how difficult it is for a little tiny short-legged peanut to climb on some really tall gals. The really tall gal will have to bend down a long way, squat deep, to give that gal that first crotch hip step, and then she's going to have to elevate her and kind of stand up at the same time, elevate her up at the same time that the gal's making the foot move to the other gal's shoulder. You'll see what I mean when we have the short legs right here. But always try to get your shoulder heights even as much as possible. It'll make a huge difference in how the pyramid looks. Here you'll see some of the variations in how I put a uneven height on the corner of these pyramids and what it does to the entire pyramid. Try to get even shoulder heights all the way across, especially on the bottom layers.